I'm Jacqueline Johnson.
And I'm Marina Middleton.
And this is Work Party, a podcast that's part work and part party. Work Party celebrates a new generation of women who are redefining the meaning of work on their own terms and having fun while doing it.
In this podcast, we are diving into all the areas of being a working woman: mind, body, and business. No topic is off limit.
Real talk and hot takes. Think of us as your internet work wives. This is Work Party,
the podcast.
Wait, where's the champagne?
All right, guys, welcome back to Work Party. Our guest today has built one of the most globally diverse investment portfolios in early stage space. 26 companies across 6 countries focused on wellness, sustainability, education, and the future of work. She backs founders other people overlook. And she has a very clear point of view on what separates the founders who last from the ones who don't. Erika Aquino, well, welcome to Work Party.
Hey, great to be here.
We're going to have so much fun. Obviously, you know, we love you so much, and we have the privilege of knowing your story and getting to know you really personally. So I want our listeners to also feel as connected to you as we are. But let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
How did you start? Let's take it from there.
Okay, my background is in PR and marketing and business development. I was everywhere from, the energy space, meaning, petroleum energy space, to financial services. I spent a lot of time in hospitality and restaurants and education. But my family started and co-founded a tech company back in the Philippines where I'm from. And that became quite successful. So now I am on the board. I took over my dad's seat at the board, and because he is sick right now, he's he suffered his 4th stroke, so he's nonverbal and bedridden. But I took over his seat like any eldest daughter would, right? And I continued his legacy of investing in the entrepreneur, investing in people whose vision aligns with ours. And yeah, that's how I kind of ended up in the angel investment space in what I do now. And here I am in front of you.
Your family must be so proud. I think
I hope so.
Going from obviously like any place and then expanding globally is so powerful. How do you think how much of how you invest now comes from how you saw your dad operate and work?
Oh gosh, the saying, they root for the underdog. That was my dad. That's my dad. He roots for the underdog. That was my grandma even. And I think I travel a lot. Okay, I travel so much, and I've seen and heard stories from around the world of people whose voices just need to be heard. And I think backing that, giving them a voice, whether it's through my resources or through my network, is really so important to me. My dad had this prayer every, dinner time. He would say something like, please grant us more blessings so that we can give opportunities to others.
Love that.
So it's not necessarily, give us more blessings so we can buy more purses, although I kind of do. But
Truly.
yeah, but to give opportunities to others, because I think success lies when you make other people successful as well.
I love that. Right. That's so beautiful. Well, I think it's actually pretty funny. So you went from Shell and Sun Life to co-owning a craft beer company to now running a global investment firm. What was the thread that connected all of them? And was there, or were you just taking opportunities as they came?
I'm a firm believer in trying something and seeing if it sticks. The brewery thing actually stuck for a while, and it was a lot of fun. I was a woman in a male-dominated space, and people would be surprised when I'd say, "Oh, yeah." When I knew the difference between an IPA, a lager, an ale, etc., I would conduct beer tastings, and they would be like, "What?" And that was a lot of fun until, of course, 2020 happened and people weren't going out to drink and whatever. But was there a thread? Absolutely not. But is there a thread in the lessons that I've learned? Of course there is. Yeah. The networks that I've built in different industries kind of helped me where I'm at today. And yeah, I tend to connect people. I know people from pretty much all over.
Yeah, and I love that you just took a risk. I feel like when I left corporate and decided to go out on my own, it was just like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I figure it out along the way. I think that's the point of
absolutely.
Just trying different industries, different things, what doesn't work. You learn things from everything that you do.
Exactly. So it's not like I job hop. It's because I networked a lot that, these opportunities were given to me.
Yeah.
I tried them out, and some stuck, some didn't, and here I am today.
You are an unbelievable networker. You do a really, really great job at not just getting in the room, making sure you're intentional about knowing who's in the room, connecting with them, learning about them. But you're also, again, I've known you now for a little over 2 years. You do such a phenomenal job at people knowing, making sure that people know exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit more about that after. But I did want to call that out because I do think that changes the game for you.
Right.
And obviously has allowed you to grow 26 companies, 6 countries, and most investors stay local.
Yeah.
Why did you go global from the start?
Oh, from the start, it was easy, honestly. Like, I love to travel. I think I've been traveling since I was 4.
Wow.
And I've built so many friendships and acquaintances in many different countries through the years. And I think there were I guess when you see the differences in cultures and you see the strengths of one or the stories of another, it's easy to get invested emotionally. And when you realize how much we have a lot in common, actually, you'll be inspired by a lot of things. And for me, we gotta go. I also believe as an investor, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that's from instruments to locales to geographies, and that was part of my strategy. I'll have some in in the US, some in Europe, some in Asia, and that for me was quite important in diversifying.
That's amazing. You've said metrics get your attention, but trust is built in how founders talk. What
Yes.
does that actually mean when you're sitting across from someone?
So my first call with a founder or a would-be founder when they pitch, it's not even a pitch; it's a vibe check. Okay, and I've trained my team as well to feel out the vibes, and I would say, does my mission align with this person's? Do they know what they're talking about? I tend to ask a lot of questions, or I tend to listen a lot to what they're saying, and oftentimes I'm quiet and just let them talk, and you'll be surprised at how much you'll learn by just keeping quiet.
Oh, that is one of my favorite. I think that's why I love negotiating so much, not because I said it on a panel a couple days ago. I love negotiating not because I'm like, oh, I want to win this deal and I'm hungry for it. It's because you get to be able to like be quiet, see how the other person reacts. Like they tell you so much in that silence.
Absolutely. Their body language,
Everything.
the words that they use, just everything. Even the way they carry themselves, it's a lot. And I've seen a lot of really, really good on paper founders just not pass the vibe check at all.
Yeah, and I'm so curious about that. What do founders get wrong when they do pitch you? Because I know obviously you get pitched so much. What do they get wrong? And then we'll talk about like what they are focused on that you don't really care about. So what do they get wrong? Let's start there.
Oh, what do they get wrong? Oh, I've said this before, but when they don't do the research, whether it's the industry that they play in, or their numbers, or even me, who are they talking to? I've had one would-be founder, send me a cold email, so I set them up with my team. Okay, and this founder said, "Oh, so what are you anyway? Are you a supplier? Are you an angel investor? What are you?" Yeah, and they sent me a message. So we're like, okay, nope.
Well, do you think it's like that comes off because some founders are just looking for capital? They don't care. Like
It's possible. But when you're a founder and you are pitching at the early stage, we back you. The early investor backs the founder more than the company, and they you're selling them on your vision and yourself. You're selling them on how you will run things versus how you actually run things.
yeah.
And you're selling them on what you plan in the future versus what you have right now. And I think really, really play off your personality, lean into your strengths. That's what they don't get right in the first go. Lean into your strengths, lean into your weirdness, I think.
Love that.
Yeah, lean into your weirdness, lean into your success as well, and sell that.
Yeah, I think that when we were raising for Create and Cultivate, obviously I was a first-time CEO, first time raising,
Yeah.
first time buying a company, and I realized that like I had this idea that I had to change who I was, and right before I jumped on any of these calls, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna. It just didn't work for me.
Right.
I needed to be 100% myself because I was the one that was going to be able to bring this vision to life.
Absolutely. You have changed so much since I first met you. You were so nervous. I could tell in the first pitch, actually, that call. You had this really pretty floral background behind you, but you're smiling.
Terrified.
Yeah, you're terrified. You're smiling like this. Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to call you out right here.
I love that, Erika. I love that you remember that because I was terrified. I was so terrified.
Yeah,
and I also didn't understand like what comes along with raising and all of that stuff. But yeah, okay, continue.
But, I saw how you and Jacqueline just kind of played off each other. I saw the relationship that you had, and I saw as well, both in your socials and how you spoke, it's your ambition. You're like, I'm going to do this. I can do this. I'm going to do this. And I really saw that. That came through. So, props to you. Snap, snap,
you.
snap. But yeah, I mean, you were great, honestly. And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Let's do it.
I mean, you were amazing. And I think I'm curious too, like what do you feel like founders focus on that you're like, that's not important. Stop wasting your time there. When it comes to pitching specifically.
Maybe it's honestly when in early stages, a lot of things are important and we really look at the whole picture. I would say impressing with numbers that don't really mean anything, or trying to impress with numbers that don't really mean anything at all. Get your valuation right, make your product roadmap and your go-to-market strategy realistic as opposed to super, super ambitious, because we will be asking the questions. We will be asking how did you arrive this? How will you get there? What are you going to do in the next year or so? And that I think would be something that, just don't try to impress. We will see through that.
Yeah, right. I remember the questions that you asked. They were very tactical. You were very curious on kind of not just what we presented, but like what wasn't on paper. Like, what is the bigger vision? What are the stories that you're telling? Where do you think you're going to go globally? How are you going to support from a philanthropic work? Like they were really intentional questions, and it showed kind of how you also put your energy and show up for the founders.
Right. And I would also ask questions like, okay, you're juggling this. And I've asked this to male founders as well. How are you going to juggle this? How are you going to do this and do that? I hate to say this, but we wear many hats as women.
Totally.
And I am just very curious as to how a founder spends her day. And that for me is really telling on the personality of the founder, or whether we jive, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I really like, I like the fact that you're a mother, a wife, and now CEO and running a multi-million-dollar company. And yet you managed to show up for everybody. And that's amazing. Seriously. Yeah. And I knew that. I could see that. Yeah.
And I remember you asking Jacqueline that, like, hey, you're part of Cherub, who you're also an investor in,
Exactly.
And you're like, how are you going to, manage both? And I thought that was a phenomenal question because it really does show you how, where your money is going and
exactly. I mean,
what risk you're taking.
Yeah. And I think founders tend to forget, they emphasize, a lot of people tend to emphasize on the angel versus the investor. Okay. And we are both. Okay. We want to help. We want, to support people whose vision aligns with ours, but we're investors. We want our money back. We want our money to grow. And we will ask the questions, both on the angel side and on the investor side.
Yeah. Someone asked you the other day, is there ever an opportunity for a founder to raise money from an investor that doesn't care about getting their money back? And it's like, no, never. All the investors want their money back.
Exactly. This is not philanthropy. This is not a charity. Are you crazy? No.
Yeah. But I like that you're clear about that. And you talk a lot about self-awareness and making sure that the founder is self-aware. What does that mean? Like, how does self-awareness actually show up in pitches or like how they're building?
Looking to grow and scale your business, but stuck trying to figure out how to onboard, set up payroll, and where do I even start with finding benefit plans that work for me and my team? Make it 100 times simpler by switching to Gusto. Gusto is online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. It's all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use, so you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. My purpose is to create environments that push creative boundaries, spark connection, and open doors for women in business, to build something bigger than myself. And that kind of vision requires my focus, not my time spent untangling paperwork. And that's why I use Gusto. From unlimited payroll runs for one simple monthly price, no hidden fees, no surprises, wild, I know, to direct access to certified HR experts whenever I need support. It handles the back end so I can stay focused on the bigger picture. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/party and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/party. One more time, gusto.com/party.
I tend to ask what would happen if you failed. And that kind of disrupts their thinking because they're out there, I'm going to impress you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. What if it doesn't work? That's one question I ask. What if it doesn't work? And that really throws them off, honestly. And you can see how they will work through the process. And I think there's a self-awareness when they acknowledge their weaknesses as well, right? They need to understand that they are not perfect, that they have to lean in to the strengths of others. How are they going to build their team? How are they going to, lean into their strengths and leverage their weaknesses? How are they going to do that? That's the question. Those are the types of questions I tend to ask during a pitch. And there you go.
I love acknowledging the weaknesses because that is where you need to hire for.
Oh,
That doesn't,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like that's not a bad thing that
It's
you have
not.
weaknesses. You just need to prepare for it.
Exactly. And that's why, since I've met you, since I've, invested in Create and Cultivate, I've hired people to do what I cannot do. I can do a data room. I can look through a data room, but it'll take me several days. I have a fractional CFO that can do it in 3 hours.
Amazing.
Yes, there's ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's all these AI tools now, but you still need somebody to that human element. I have two people, one chief of staff in the US and one in the Philippines, just so they can view deals. I think they told me yesterday the numbers. It's since the start of 2026, they've seen 38 startups and 55 VCs.
Wow.
I'm like, what? You guys do that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would be able to do that without them.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I really love that. And I love that you as an investor is also recognizing your weakness
Absolutely.
and hiring for that. Well, we talk a lot about pitching and getting in front of investors. I want to talk about the relationship building side of it because I think that I see so often founders, it feels very transactional for them.
yeah.
They just want to hey, I want to tell you about my business. Hey, are you writing a check? How do you feel like founders can build that relationship with investors before they even ask for the check?
Ooh, okay. Well, to be honest, just get to know that investor as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, take interest in what they're interested in. There's this notorious story of Melanie Perkins pitching to Bill Tai and how Bill Tai wrote his first check. She learned kite surfing for him. He invited her to these kite surfing retreats. I've been on them. I'm like, I'm not kite surfing for.
Yeah.
Nope. But she learned it, and because she learned it, he wrote her first check for Canva.
Cool.
For Canva. And it's about meeting the investor where they're at as well. These are great opportunities, honestly, for founders to meet people. Places like South by Southwest or, even a podcast like this. And flattery will get you everywhere.
No, 100%. Compliment me, please.
Exactly. More. Tell me more. No. So every time I appear in a podcast like this, my team will say, "Oh, there's an uptick in inquiries," or I get so many LinkedIn messages. "Hey, I saw you do this. I saw you do that," and when they connect with something that I've said, I'm like, okay, there might be something here. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, really just start small. The worst that an investor can say is no.
No.
Exactly. So just shoot your shot. And I always admire people who shoot their shot.
Love that. Love. I'm all about shooting my shot. You see founders at pre-seed all the way to Series A. So what's the difference between the ones who make it to the next round and the ones that don't?
Oh, it's really the ones that make it to Series A have such a familiarity with their industry. They really are the best people to solve the problem that they're trying to solve. You know, you ask them about their numbers from day one, and they're on it. They're just so on it. It's amazing how on it they are. Jacqueline was one. For both for Cherub and Create and Cultivate. Who else? I could name a few. I will not.
Yeah.
But they were amazing from day one, and I think they are, they knew their industry as well. What's the external factors that became their tailwind that could push them forward? They knew exactly how to harness that. They harnessed their sales and rode those tailwinds, rode those wins, and I'm like, I'm just, they impress me every day, basically.
I love that. And I think it's so important. A lot of founders get really hung up on their competitors. And I think that, if I could give advice, it's like expand a little bit to not just your competitors, your industry.
Yeah.
Be so obsessed with your customers.
Absolutely.
Like be more obsessed with your customers than you are with your competitors.
Absolutely. It's not just, and what are the things like political, social, community-wise, what are the things that can help you?
Yeah.
And harness that really, like take advantage of those trends, of those, current events, etc. Take advantage of those and ride that wave.
I love that. So you use AI to cut your research time on new deals by 75%. AI is obviously taking over in the best way, I believe. I'm big fan of AI.
Same.
We integrate AI at Create and Cultivate. We make all of our in-person events better with AI. I just think that we're not scared of it. What are you using it for, and what does it still not replace?
Okay. So again, I guess research, that's the first initial thing. It's the junior analyst, I believe. But I would say when you really have to back that up with human eyes, right? One company that we founded, my family co-founded back in the Philippines, it is a business process optimization company. And if you know the industry, these are call centers, these are data centers back home, etc. And that accounts for so much of the livelihood back in the Philippines. Now, there has been some criticism. AI is going to replace the agent, the call center agent, or the customer service agent. It could, sure. However, we saw it coming, essentially, and we've been preparing for it. So now we are focusing on AI and optimization for businesses, and we've actually increased the jobs in our company. I mean, from 750 people, we're now over 1,000. We're at 1,500. So, I mean, that for me is just seeing it coming and seeing how it plays into your industry. What it cannot replace, I believe, would really be the human touch, that relationship that you have, the founder-funder relationship, the relationships with your suppliers, etc. That could never be replaced. Your own judgment as well, that intuition that you have, that for sure will never, ever happen. It has done for me, though. When you're confused, like, okay, why do I feel funny about this deal? Why do I feel funny about that deal? Could you tell me why? That kind of outlines as well. Not outlines, sorry. It untangles the knots in my head.
Love that.
In terms of analysis and, the gut versus the brain, what's going on here? Why do you think it feels weird? They've done, Claude has done that for me. It's amazing how I can kind of make decisions faster as well. But at the same time, it's like, okay, it does make mistakes and it will make mistakes. So you gotta lean into both strengths.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I always ask Claude or even ChatGPT, like, what am I missing here? And there are certain things that they'll call out, and I'm like, nope. In my head, I'm like, I'm not missing that. I intentionally don't care about it. Oh, wow, I did miss that. And
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
nice the untangling of
Right.
information.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, when you show up in a room.
Mm-hmm.
I was touched on it a little bit earlier when we first started, of like how you introduce yourself. You make sure that everyone is very clear about what you do, where you invest. You like, I can remember your intro like to a T because you are so consistent on it. And I think it's really important for founders to learn that. So talk me through, like, how did you decide how you wanted to show up in a room and how you wanted to introduce yourself?
Again, it really depends on the rooms where I show up. Obviously, in event like, let's say, in the Create and Cultivate, or if there's so many people, I tend to not really introduce myself that way. Why? It's a lot of it's preserving my own energy as well. However, in an investor event where I am, meeting other investors, or let's say in a room where I could potentially meet amazing founders, where I could potentially meet amazing founders, that I tend to show up as who I am and as my profession. Why is it so important? Because how did I arrive at that? Okay, remember the thing, start with why. Okay, why am I investing in the first place? Who do I want to invest in? Sustainability was important for me because I live in the Philippines, the most disaster-ridden country in the world.
Wow.
And sustainability is such a huge factor in our daily lives back home. How can we sustain businesses? How can we sustain agriculture, etc. That for me was important. Wellness. I've seen my dad get sick. I've seen my parents get sick. It's alarming. So I'm like, okay, let's invest in something that can help generations down. Education, same thing. There's such an educational crisis everywhere. This is globally, and in my head, I'm like, how might we be able to make kids learn better?
Yeah.
How might we be able to let them access good education in the first place? And with future of work, AI is coming in. How can we preserve jobs when these kids graduate? How will they be able to work? How can they harness their skills in a futuristic environment? So yeah, that for me those were my whys, and I was always about that. And right now I'm looking at startups that are the problem solver and not they're the painkiller, the problem solver, the pill, and not the Band-Aid.
I love that. Okay, rapid fire questions.
Okay.
One thing that a founder should have in her pitch deck or in their pitch deck.
A description of who they are and why they're the best person to solve the problem.
I love that. One thing that a founder should not have in their pitch deck.
Not have in their pitch deck, really, really fluffy numbers, then you don't know how it got there. Yeah.
So good. Red flag that you see.
Red flag that you see, again, I always say this, lack of research. When a founder doesn't know the answer to a question and say, oh, I have to look that up. Ooh, that's already a red flag for me.
Red flag when someone first introduces themselves in person.
I always try to give people a chance.
Love, okay.
Yeah, I'm very forgiving. People can get nervous, so
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah.
I like that you called that out.
Yeah.
Green flag from a founder that is introducing themselves.
Just somebody who just knows their stuff, honestly. Like kindness for me is just such a green flag.
What is one thing that you want everyone to know about you and how you invest?
I am not scary.
Love that. She's the sweetest.
I'm not scary. And people are,
I think it's intimidation. That's probably what it is.
maybe. So people have cried apparently after I. No. I'm like, no, I don't mean to make them cry. I'm just asking. And when I ask questions, it's because I want them to understand where I'm coming from, and I want them to learn from this hard question. And how I invest really intentionally. Again, I invest in the painkiller, the problem solver, and not the Band-Aid.
I'm obsessed. You are such a gem. You really are so intentional with how you show up, how you support founders, how you invest. It's amazing. And I'm honored to have you as one of our investors and friends.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I'm honored to be part of the Create and Cultivate family.
Yay. Thank you so much for coming to Work Party.
Of course, no problem.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Work Party. If you like what you heard, follow, leave a review, rate the pod, or slide into our DMs.
Check out the different ways you can create and cultivate on our website, createcultivate.com. From retreats and masterminds to our summits and festival.
We have different experiences to support you through your entrepreneurial journey from launch
to legacy.
Follow us at Create Cultivate on all platforms, and don't forget, work hard.
Party on.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.